Hello, my name is Mira.
And I'm a recovering stingy person. When I used to believe that to give is to lose, losing my time, my energy, and sometimes a piece of myself. And each time I gave something, I really wondered if there'd be anything left for me. And some of you may have felt that too. At work, at home, amidst your relationships. And that kept me circling back to this question, isn't giving so much going to drain us? I mean, isn't that what happens to doctors, teachers, parents, leaders? We call it burnout. So how does this whole giving business work? While facing much tension around this mentally, life showed me something else. And so I want to take you back to the roots. I grew up in a Sikh home. And every Sunday, our family visited the Gurdwara, our Sikh place of worship. And it's also known for having an open community kitchen that is open for anybody who walks in. Now, my parents were very avid, keen sevaks. They would like to do seva, also called selfless service. And having to do this every Sunday, my brother and I resisted. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing against seva. It's just that many of you millennials sitting in the room would identify that Sunday was the only day that we got to see cartoons 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on national television. Give me a hand raise if that's true for you. Getting pulled out of that and walking into the community kitchen was resistance. And as much as my brother and I protested, our parents' values took over. So instead of entertaining ourselves in front of that box, we went to the kitchen and we rolled dough and we served dal to absolute strangers. Back then, there wasn't much significance to it because nobody said, "Good job, beta." There was just silent rhythm service. The 8-year-old me certainly missed my entertainment. But now that I look back, I realize that my parents had silently put in a deep value. That service makes a difference even when you resist it. Fast forward, years later, I joined a 7-month-long leadership program by Landmark. I expected leadership training, negotiation skills, management skills, building your network. What I didn't expect was 10 hours each week volunteer work. This is calls, this is facilitation work, this is extensive coaching hours, again, for absolute strangers. Holding space, helping them grow in their professional and personal lives. I resisted. The 8-year-old me came back. I said, I don't have the time for this. I got a business to run. I have a family to look after. No. But again and again, each week, my coach dragged me. And dragged me is not a metaphor. There were times my coach would show up at the door and I wanted to go hide right under the bed. Yet, 5 months passed and something interesting happened. At the end of a volunteering day that took a lot out of me, my body was tired, but not my mind, not my brain. And that night, when I was taking the blanket over myself, something struck. Mira, this is not charity. This is strength training for your soul. The transformation in business, in relationships, and self was unmissable. And that grounded me deeply in this fundamental I bring to you, that giving is not depletion, it's instead expansion. And that strangely reminded me of a conversation I had years earlier with a psychic Many of you may have had that experience. Beta, kuch dikh raha hai. And I was told, you will accumulate a lot of wealth. At the age of 17, I heard this. You will accumulate a lot of wealth, but it looks like you'll give all of it away. At that time, I said, wow, I'm going to be rich in receipts. Today, I look at that conversation very differently because I no more see myself as a source. I see myself as a channel. And if I allow the flow of prosperity and abundance to flow through this channel, I think I'm living what I'm supposed to be. Now, this is where a lot of us stumble. An opportunity shows up for you to contribute. But I know how your mind runs, because mine runs like that. Is this even my job? Should I be doing this? I mean, somebody else is capable and equipped to handle this better, so yeah, they'll get taken care of. But I'd like to clarify. Contribution is our business. And if we don't see that, experience that, and get down to doing it, we soon becoming breathing, but nearly dead. Science shares this. Sufficient proof. When you do an act of giving, there are two chemicals, dopamine and oxytocin, secreted in your brain. Dopamine directly creating joy, oxytocin creating a sense of connection. And neuroscientists like to call it the helper's high. Your hack for the dry days. And therefore, you want to see further, research proves people who actively volunteer are also known to have greater well-being, much lower levels of depression, and a stronger will to keep at what they are good at. Imagine getting a great cocktail of life through that act of giving. What I'm zeroing down on is that if you see happiness is equal to the feeling of making a contribution. It's that silent joy you feel. I was of help to someone today. So this is what I have come to understand. The question is not, will I be too drained when I give? I'd like you to change the question. Ask instead, am I being a tank or a river? The real risk is in not giving too much. Instead, the risk is in holding on, hoarding that tank till the water starts to feel it's been there since 1995. I'd like you to consider the risk of starting to flow and give like the river. Because now you fit the analogy when you see a river, when flowing, doesn't just serve the landscape and the being around it, but it deeply serves the channel that sits beneath it, making it go stronger and deeper. And I still know that some of you will say, Mira, all right. But seriously, the real world, we measure success by accumulation. Wealth, titles, accomplishments, the works. We are taught to keep score. We are taught to check how much have you gathered. And so, between you and me, how about we measured success differently? Instead of how much did you gather, how much did you contribute? How much have you kept versus how much have you allowed to flow? What if we did not measure our success by the numbers alone, and instead we started to measure how you felt when you gave? So think back to a recent time when you had given your presence, your time, a resource, a piece of wise advice, and sometimes help when no one asked. Did you feel depleted or lighter? So this is my invitation to you. This week, give. Just don't keep score. Offer help. Step into help before being asked. Pull out that knowledge or that contact that could open doors for somebody. And if nothing else, just sit in silence and give somebody a listening ear because they need it. And then you may start to experience or discover what the stingy person in me did, that giving is not a sacrifice and not a drain, instead is a flow. Thank you.